How do you choose the best?
I got several requests from the audience. Let me see. Dear Ooly Bird, we love rock and roll, but we don't remember the very first rock and roll hit. Can you help us? Signed, Linda and friends. Well, thanks. Are we gonna know this?
Well, of course we are. Now, this one is the one that started rock and roll. Fonzie's favorite tune by Bill Haley and the Comets from 1955. Rock Around the Clock. Hit it, dude.
1, 2, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, rock. 5, 6, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, rock. 9, 10, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, rock. We're gonna rock around the clock tonight. Put your black flags on. Join me home. We'll have some fun when the time strikes. One, we're gonna rock around the clock tonight. We're gonna rock till we're all dead. We're gonna rock around the clock tonight.
Hey, you know, that was really boss. But like, how can you sing and play the drums at the same time, man?
Nothing to it, Beach Bear. A lot of practice and incredible natural ability.
It's hard to be humble when you're great, huh, dude?
I just like to shine, little darling.
Well, say, you know, and that says it all about our next rock and roll hit from 1957. It really shines. From a group called the Diamonds. Sing it for us, Betty Bob. We'll all help out.
But the Beach Boys said it all with their version of rock and roll music. You know, any old way you choose it.
Which boy? He's got a backbeat, you can't lose it. I'm a drummer, and I know these things.
What maybe you don't know, Duke, is that song was written and performed by one of the greatest rock and roll performers of all time.
Oh, yeah.
And he's still playing rock and roll.
Still playing?
That's right.
Well, he must be real old.
Now I know. It's got to be Chuck Berry. Like, he's the dude who wrote music to Surfing USA.
Well, go on, Beach Bear, sing it for me.
Just let me hear some of that rock and roll music. It's got a backbeat and music. Any old time music. It's gotta be that rock and roll music. If you wanna dance with me. If you wanna dance with me now.
Smash hit by Chuck Berry.
And the Beach Boys.
Yeah, and the Beatles, too.
Wow.
Yeah, and
Okay.
hello, baby.
Is that you, Ben?
Yeah. It's just a big papa singing. Until it links that pretty face that only came hanging down. The wiggle in the walk and a giggle in the talk. Yeah. Makes the world go round, round, round. There ain't nothing in the world like a jackass girl. She make me act so funny. And spend my money. Feel real loose like a long neck, loose like a jerk. Oh, baby, that's what I like.
You know, I don't think anybody is too young or too old to rock and roll. It's really fun music.
Yeah, pretty much. It's the beat that makes it sweet.
We're partial to the drums, dude, but without the guitar, rock and roll just wouldn't happen, man.
Now, look here, guys. Rock and roll is rhythm. You got bass, drums, guitar, and keyboards. But don't forget the saxophone has always been instrumental in rock and roll music. All right, now, so let's do one of our favorites from 1958, complete with the saxophone by the Coasters. Duke, Beach Band, let's do it.
Pick out the papers and the trash.
see?
Wait, I'm a bird. I don't have any idea what you're talking about.
Oh, okay, Ernie Bird. Now, here's the story. Check this out. Rocks in the treetop all day long. I've been about that.
There are a lot of rock and roll legends, but one of my all-time favorites is Ray Charles.
Try us, Billy Bob.
Okay, who was Ernest Evans?
That's too easy. Well, he was singing for the electric marshmallows.
I'm afraid not,
Oh,
Duke.
go, okay. Give me another hint.
Well, he had the only record in history to be #1 twice, in both 1960 and 1962.
That sure is a twist. But you would have to pick the one person I can't remember.
Hey, Duke, you're smart and don't know it. Ernest Evans is much better known as Chubby Checker. His record that was #1 twice was, just like you said, the twist. Let's do it, everybody. Come on, baby. Let's do the twist. Come on, baby. Let's do the twist. Take me by my little hand. Go like this. Round and around and around and around and around and around and around and around.
You know, some rock and roll songs have a language all their own, with phrases like dip dip and sha-na-na.
Oh, yeah, the oldies but goodies were full of those things. They're fun to sing.
Oh, yeah. Now, tell you what, let me teach you some rock and roll language from a beautiful old classic by Rodgers and Hart.
Well, you mean the dudes who wrote Funny Valentine to rock and roll? Now that is fun.
Well, actually, these lyrics were sort of, you might say, adapted. And it's by the myself from 1961.
From the 60s? I'm in the mood to sing, and besides, Fats, you promised.
Yeah, Fats, you said we'd have something for everybody.
Well, now, you're right. You know, in the early 60s, the radio was playing lots of songs by all-girl groups like the Shirelles, the Chiffons, and the Dixie Chicks. But one of the best remembered tunes was one about what happens when somebody goes and making eyes at somebody else's girl.
That's my favorite. That's all the way back to 1963.
By